Hello and welcome to the live stream with Cousinette, who will be doing the update on the spooky, scary skeleton Halloween tag. It's kind of raring to go, so I'm early. Thank you to everyone joining the live stream. I know people will be coming in throughout. As I said, I know I'm going a bit early today. And also a big thank you to Team Rewatch. It's always very much appreciated. So in terms of the scary, spooky skeleton Halloween tag, I've already done a video about the books that I've read. I do wish I could say that I finished them, but unfortunately, between trying to get some things done, I didn't quite make it. And that's okay. And a big thank you to Nicole's Bookish Nook for creating the event, for all the people who are co-hosting the event with her and who participated. There were a number of great reads to discover. We all read different things, so be sure to check out the different channels. You can find them through Nicole's Bookish Nook under her videos. And yeah, it was a fun event to participate in. As I say, I didn't finish Green Witchcraft by Anne Mura. I have a little bit more to go. So hopefully within the next, maybe week or two, I will get it finished, because I just noticed as well on my iPad, I have 4 hours left of listening to Revival, and that's by Stephen King. I've read that before, and whoo, this is getting hot. I've read Revival before, and it was an interesting read. It's a book that I unhauled, haven't repurchased, and if you've just watched my unhauled bought them again video, I think I'm at something like 35 or 36 books now that I thought I was done with, but I've gotten them back again. There's just something more to read, something more to get from them. Revival, I knew I wouldn't be reading a second time, or I didn't think I would. It's basically like the title says. It has to do with the old church revival style of things. A man who suffers a tragedy. Trying to think, there's another story similar to that with a preacher, and one of our main characters in this story is also a preacher. There's a horrific accident, changes his belief in things. He'd always been interested in electricity and comes up with different things to do and try. It's another one of those tie-ins with Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, The Island of Dr. Moreau, of when is too far with science. And why do people get caught up in this type of thing? So I decided to listen to it this time. And yeah, it's as creepy as I remember. It isn't for the faint of heart type of read. It certainly isn't hopeful or positive about the afterlife. So keep that in mind if you decide to give it a try. It's definitely creepy Stephen King. I have to keep moving my hair here for some reason. Ooh-wee. Cousin It's having a few challenges today. Okay, there we go. That should work better, I hope. But yes, so it's definitely a challenging read and not for the faint of heart. But I need to finish Revival. That was part of why I didn't get Green Witchcraft finished. There's another event that I just had a video about and made the announcement, and that is Ghosts of Christmas Past. That's created by Vin from Revenant Reads. There's myself and a number of other co-hosts. I'll see if I can remember them because I don't have it written down. So hopefully I don't forget anyone. We have Mark from Reading with Elvis, Mindy's Book Journeys, Book Blather, so Dave and Olive, myself, and Debs, Rayner Reads. I think I have all of us, hopefully. First of all, we're starting with doing a group read of The Old Nurse's Story. This is by Elizabeth Gaskell. It's a short story, and it was so cute. As you can see, it's a little book. I mean, my hands aren't uber large, but it's a short story. I've never read it before, so I'm looking forward to this read and finding out about it. I think Debs has read it, and I'm not sure if Mark had read it before or not, but it's going to be a new read for some of us, and I'm looking forward to doing this as a group read. I also appeared recently on Another Bibliophile Reads with Greg, Alan, Bad, and I got to meet Cliff from Cliff's Dark Gems as we talked about Salem's Lot. So there's been a few things going on over the last few days, last few weeks, actually. Another book that I'm looking forward to getting into, this was from my book haul, and I'm trying to see the title, Where the Ghosts Are. This is by Hans Holzer. Now, Hans Holzer was a parapsychologist. He was around the same time as, and suddenly having a blank, Ed and Lorraine Warren. So they investigated a lot of the same locations, wrote books about the different locations. I haven't read his about the Amityville Horror. I did read Jay Anson's version of that, but I hadn't come across Hans Holzer's, and I'm looking forward to seeing what stories he covers here. Okay, phew. Cousin It's going to have to take a little break. Man, that gets hot. How did I do that? Oh, yeah. It was much cooler the last time I did that. So Hans Holzer, I'm looking forward to this read. There's, I think it said, when I read the back, 50 locations where he investigated, and he also had a psychic with him. So I'm curious to read this. I haven't read any. I know Holzer's name, but I haven't read any of his books yet, because the one I have on ghosts and witches are massive reads. So I'm very much looking forward to starting this. I may wait until December. This is from 1997, but the copyright's 95, so that's interesting. So he has, oh, all right, this may end up being a read before December. We'll see, because I have a number of books that I need to get finished. I need to finish Greencraft. I've got a number of other books I started, so the next few weeks are just going to be trying to get organized, figure out what I have to read, what I'm going to be working on, because I want to start The Artist's Way again. I was looking at the other Julie Cameron book, The Vein of Gold, which was really interesting. And that's the awesome thing about picking up books at the thrift store. You never know what you're going to find inside. And in the front cover of The Vein of Gold, it's a wife writing about how her husband bought her this book when she was going through a dark time. And I don't know if she ever worked through the book. I mean, the spine isn't cracked. It's in immaculate condition. There's no writing on the pages. So I don't know the story behind her writing that her husband bought her that book in the time. I hope that everything worked out for her and that she got something from working through the book. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how that happens. And when I've picked up other books, I found cards, or the Stephen Hawking's book that I have, I know is a Christmas gift from daughters to their dad, because there's a signature in the front. It's always fascinating when you get books from the thrift store. You never know what you're going to find in them. I mean, most of them are not from people like me who go through and annotate so many different things, but you just never know what you're going to find written in the front cover or what people use for bookmarks and different things. But back to the Holzer book. So he has Public Houses. This is in America. And I'm just quick looking down. He's got a couple from California. So I'm curious if those will come up in the Barbara Smith book. There's a New Haven, Connecticut, Clinton, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey. Oh, wow, there's a lot of places. And I'm just quick looking through if any. Oh, Lincoln's Ghost. That'll be interesting. Octagon, Washington. A Rocking Chair in Virginia. I don't know how a haunted nightclub. Oh, I guess maybe just one place in Canada, Haunted Nightclub of Toronto, New York. Yeah, so that's the only public house. Then there's Private Ghost Houses of America. Houses in the British Isles. Tower of London. Not sure I'd call that a house. So various locations. He's got Hermitage Castle in Scotland, an abbey from Ireland, and 2 European ghosts. So I guess he didn't travel there very much, which is a bit odd considering he was born in Austria. I'm sure there were locations in his homeland as well as many other European cities that have haunted places. So this will be an interesting read, like I say. Ooh, cool. He's got pictures as well. I always love when they include pictures of the stories they're telling you about, especially if it's from locations you're not familiar with. And as I mentioned, if you've seen my book haul, it went up this morning. Another book that I purchased during that trip, is one from Ontario, and it's an older book. It has Ontario divided into different sections. I'm very interested in reading that because, like I say, it's older. He's included maps of the areas that he's talking about, as well as the locations. So it'll give me an opportunity to learn more about where I live, which is neat. I know there are some locations not far from me, so some people may have heard about the Donnellys and the situation with that family. It was a very horrific event, and it occurred in a small town not far from the city of London. There are still family members alive from both sides of that issue. I'm a bit shocked that they made a movie about it because, like I say, the family members are still alive, and it was a very different time. There were a lot of different things happening, a lot of factors. People have strong opinions still about both sides. I mean, I had an opportunity to meet one of the relatives of the Donnellys, and I have to say, he was one of the sweetest individuals I've ever met. But that would be perhaps shocking to some people if you have only read the story and you don't know anything else about the area or the people. And that's the challenge sometimes when people write these stories. Or, I'm thinking of, there's a movie that came out a while ago that I'll never watch. And who's in it? She's got the twin sisters. She was in Marvel. She was the Red Olsen. Elizabeth Olsen decided that this particular horrific event was of interest to her, and she thought it would make a great movie. So she did. But it was based on events that weren't that long ago. So, traumatizing the family that went through this. The perpetrator is still around. It's just, it kind of goes to that science, when is too far, and these making movies of telling certain stories that are not theirs to tell. I mean, Olsen didn't bother to go ask any of these families, is it okay? She just went ahead, put it all up on the screen there. Zero regard for the families who went through this and what they experienced. It just, yeah. That's a good segue into my keyboard warrior journal, which I will be getting use out of in the next few days, because between some of the current world events and just some of this stuff in Hollywood and what they think is okay to talk about, and it's a great story with a zero regard for the damage that they do to other people, I need to do some of the journaling. If you haven't seen my video about the Keyboard Warrior Journal, it's just a basic duotang. I put some lined paper in it. I don't write front to back in it. I write, got one that I need to rip up. I write back to front, because then I can easily take the pages out, and when I'm done with it, then, not sure why I have this one here, but then when I'm done with it, I can take them out and either put it through the shredder and hear that and watch names go through, which can be therapeutic, or I just rip them up into small pieces and put it into the recycle bag, which is where those thoughts go. And then that way it's not just hanging around all the time. But I definitely need to do some of this journaling coming up. I find rather than make a video or type a post, I'd rather just get it out in here, because then I can say what I want. I don't have to worry about spelling. I don't have to worry about whether it makes sense or what anyone else is going to think about it. I can just do it for me, eliminate it, and then hopefully be done with it. If it comes up and starts to bother me again, then I've got my journal I can always pull out and work on that. So the spooky update was quick. And yeah, Cousin It was getting a bit hot. If someone pops in a little bit and they want to see Cousin It, I'll try it again. But yeah, it's amazing how hot. Oh, and yes, my back is achy too. How hot Cousin It can get, because again, lots and lots of heavy hair. What else do I want to talk about? One book I'm definitely going to be getting into, I may even be starting it today, is Calm the F Down. How to control what you can and accept what you can't, so you can stop freaking out and get on with your life. There are a lot of events happening right now that are definitely out of my control. I live in a different country, so I know the ripple effects of that are going to come this way in time. I'm trying to focus on, we're in November, not January, so there's still time. Get things in place, prepare as best we can, and make plans. I did listen to this as an audiobook. This is by Sarah Knight. I believe she has another book as well. Kind of chuckle up here. It says a no F's given guide. She does. New York Times best-selling author of The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving a... Get your sheesh together and you do you. Well, maybe that one doesn't have any profanities in it. I do know this one. This is 2018. I do know this one. If you're offended by certain language, this is not a book that you will enjoy. It's much like Jen Sincero's You're a Badass. Both of these authors have some great tips, great ideas, but the profanity gets to be a bit much. I mean, I've pretty much stayed away from TV and new type movies because I don't want to hear the F-bomb every other word. I mean, to me, they've completely destroyed the use of that word. It's just become everyday language now. It's no longer a word that if you're highly agitated or aggravated about something and the word comes out, now it's just everywhere. It's all through TV shows, it's in movies, it's all over the place in books, it's all over social media. I mean, it wasn't until I started following more on social media and things that I began to understand why my students in high school would get so irritated when I would stop them from using the F-bomb all the time. And it's like, you need to increase your vocabulary, find some other words. And, I'd get the rolled eyes or the big or whatever. And yeah, Now I get why that was their response, because they were hearing it and seeing it all over the place. So why was I making such a big deal of it? Which I truly find really upsetting, quite frankly, because there are so many other words you can use in the English language beyond that, and it doesn't really fit where it's being used most of the time or on these TV programs. It's irritating. But like I say, if you can get past all the profanity, she does have some good points and some food for thought. Same with Jen Sincero's book. If you can get past, I think hers is mostly S bombs, not so much the F bombs. But again, there's a lot of profanity in hers. I know when I looked on Goodreads, there were a number of people who were very put off by that. And even this author talks about, she's aware that although she's writing about, being positive, let's see. Oh, and there's a picture of the author. On the back, she's got, do you spend more time worrying about problems than solving them? Do you let unexpected difficulties ruin your day? And do what ifs keep you up at night? Sounds like you need to. Just because things are falling apart doesn't mean you can't pull it together. Whether you're stressed about that hasn't happened yet or freaked out about that already has, the no worries method from anti-guru Sarah Knight helps you curb the anxiety and overthinking that are making everything worse. Definitely something to read for this time. There's, so the 3 books that were mentioned on the front. Now, the You Do You at least sounds reasonable. Maybe there's not quite so much profanity in that one. Point how to accept what you can't control. That's pretty much a big one for right now, because there are certainly events going on that, we're aware of, people are discussing, but some of the changes and decisions are going to be made that we can't impact. But, trying to stay positive and connecting with others and having helpful, positive conversations may help everything down the line. I'm hoping anyway, because it is a challenging time for sure. What else can I talk about? Talk about the journal. I need to get this updated. So I showed this the other day. I have a cover done. I had planned this out beforehand, so I had a separate piece of paper because I decided I wanted to figure out what words to use. This will be, I just started this in November. It runs till November 2025. So I wanted to be sure that I remembered to plan things effectively. Always remember to have some playtime. That's important. Have fun. And I did little rays of the sun. And that's going to be very crucial these days, as well as to get organized. And it's neat because I set this up. I have a special punch to set the pages like this, so they just quickly flip off. So I'll do that when I do the embellishing around the edges. And then you can just snap them back in place. So it's handy because anywhere through here, you can take out the pages, do stuff on them, and then pop them back in the right location. The pages that I used inside were from another planner that I had purchased, had hoped to do. They had great ideas in it, but there were some flubs with the printing and the page numbers. So what I did is I cut it all apart, and then I did this special hole punch with them, dated all of them, and set them up. So on this side, I have my weekly planner. Now here it says time, appointments, notes. I don't really worry about that. I just use the little blocks to do some planning and figuring out. This side is the to-do, so I write the other things in there. Inspiration station, so if there's a quote that I've come across that I find helpful, or another idea that I think will keep me going, I'll pop it into that box. Event countdown, and then the weeks too. What I'll be using this section for are the different book events that I'm involved in. And I have a calendar put together with all the events per month, so I can do that for the events or other things that are coming up. The little box here, things I'm waiting for from other people. So if I've emailed somebody about being a guest on a live stream, or I've emailed them for something else, if I haven't heard back after a week or so, because I know people get busy, emails get knocked down the list, then I'll put it in here as a reminder to myself to reach out to them again if I haven't heard back. Meal plans, this section I use more for what did we have rather than planning. Our weather here lately is so crazy. Yesterday, I was sitting out in short sleeves. It was the afternoon. It's November the 6th yesterday. That's not normal temperatures for southwestern Ontario. Today, I had to go out with a heavy coat on. So trying to plan meals is not easy, because I find if it's cold, then I want something different than when it's hot. So thankfully, my husband and I are both on the same page with that, and we just kind of figure it out at supper time. The other thing that I added here, now this is where I'm at. So I've also added little tags, and these I purchased. They were pre-punched. But so for each month, I have a nice section to write in for what's coming up. And so for December, I already have listed Winter Wyndham. That's a book event that Gareth runs at Book Songs and Other Magic. Looking forward to that. That'll be a Chrysalids reread, which is the only Wyndham that I currently have. I may borrow some from the library again, or see if I find some at the thrift store. Also, Vin is doing the Ghosts of Christmas Past, Resurrecting a Tradition event. And so that's reading ghost stories, whether they're from the Victorian era or a modern era, or modern ghost stories. So I know that those are in December. And then I've set up those tags for each month. So I have them all set up throughout. And I went through initially. So the theme of my channel is astronomy books. So I'll be getting into the books up in this cube. So Sagan, Neil deGrasse Tyson, my different star guide books, different books about the universe. I'll have to select some of those and make sure that I'm getting my reading done, and I'll need to read some of those in December to be prepared for January. So I'm looking forward to keeping up with this. It's a short, sweet way to, at a glance, see what I need to do for the week. I still have some work that I want to do on the front cover. I'm not sure if I'll really do much more with the pages inside. I might play on the inside cover. There's just, a few different ideas I have kicking around, and that's something that I'll make a point of referring to each morning as I'm getting more organized and getting things together. I also have plans for a few other journals, and I'll be having a short video, well, it should be short, in a little while, called The Journal So Far, going through gathering up all the supplies because I have different craft supplies I want to use. I've got stickers. I have these glow-in-the-dark stickers and several of them still around. I've got them on some of my other journals that I need to figure out and get into use. So that's kind of my journal, short journal information at the moment. Another thing to help me get organized, and I'm making a point of keeping this near me, certainly when I'm watching BookTube videos, is my book recommend journal. And when viewers are leaving me comments and suggestions, I now have one spot where I'm writing them down. So also when I go to my thrift store, I need to make a point of taking this with me so I can look for these particular authors or titles. I've looked some up at the library, so I know I can borrow them from there. At the back, I have a little sticky for apps. I may also, in this section, just get another, actually, let's see. Let me just do that now while I'm thinking about it, because the other is, as I'm watching channels, there are always suggestions for channels to go watch. Sometimes they have links, and I go, I subscribe, but then I have to remember to go back and watch videos, because when I subscribe, I also want to become a viewer. And so if I have a section where I write channels, whoops, silly me, did it upside down. But then I can also remember where I found certain channels. I can make notes of the different content, and then I can get more organized and keep track of the different channels I'm following as well, because everyone has a different upload schedule. So Kat, I know, has her Grimm fairy tales. Those are usually on Monday. There are other people who have regular sprints, and some people upload maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. Other people upload 3 or 4 times a week. So that will be a handy reference point for the different channels I discover and getting to know when to check in with them. So yay, I have that done. Another book that I just started, because like I say, I'm all over the place at the moment. I need to get all this figured out, but I just started The Night Shift again. I read this decades ago when I was big into reading Stephen King. I just finished Jerusalem's Lot. I'm a bit sad I didn't read it before we had our Salem's Lot discussion live stream on Another Bibliophile Reads, because it's so different from the book Salem's Lot with Barlow and the Marston House and what happened in that area. Now, thankfully, I did repurchase Salem's Lot a number of years ago, and I think I took it to my bookshelf downstairs, which is where I'm thinking of keeping my fiction books, and most of my nonfiction or I'm currently reading books will stay upstairs. I'm having a really hard time deciding what to keep up and what to take down because I have a few bookcases down there. It's just stairs are difficult for me, but at the same time, I know I can't keep everything upstairs because I'm oddly enough running out of room for all of the books. So I'll have to track down Salem's Lot and find out the years and make note of some things there, because it talks about the history of Salem's Lot, talks about, I think it's Marston or Marster House. I think it's Marston. And there's a certain year given with that. I know there was a fire in the town as well. This Jerusalem's Lot has to do with 1850. And if I remember, is this the Boone? Yep. This is the Boone family, and I don't remember that name out of the tons of characters that were in Jerusalem's Lot coming up with reference to it. And in some ways, reading this, okay, now I have to read Carmilla. Because in some ways, this almost sounds like Carmilla, which is another vampire story, has to do with a small town and a difference in terms of who the vampire is. There's no vampire in the story Jerusalem's Lot. There is a vampire in Salem's Lot. But now I'm really curious to, having just read Jerusalem's Lot, I have to make note of the characters and what's happening here. So Carmilla may end up being my classic read. So for the spooky readathon, I missed starting a classic book, and it may end up being Carmilla now because that'll tie in with Jerusalem's Lot. I want to find out how similar they are. And that's the one thing about reading so many different stories is as you're reading it, you're like, yeah, this really sounds like this one or that one. And in my defense as a book murderer, that's part of why I do make notes as I'm going through, and I make it in the book, because as I go back through it down the road, which could be a year or so. Hey, Dan, how are you doing? I had my cousin It for a bit, but it was like uber hot, so it's just me babbling at the moment. Have you ever read Night Shift by Stephen King? So Jerusalem's Lot, there's a lot of Carmilla vibes to it. And I can't remember some of the other stories in here, so it'll be fun revisiting. And then what I'm doing is just making notes down the side of what each story is about. Quitters and Company, I think Gareth from Book Songs and Other Magic and Dave from Book Blather were talking about. This is Night Shift by Stephen King, a collection of his short stories. I was super happy. This is from my book haul, the video I had up this morning. This is one of the books that I got for 70 cents, which is a good deal. And the other Stephen King that I got also for 70 cents The Skeleton Crew. This one I'm definite, and yeah, I want to get to this one as well. There's a number of stories that I remember from this one. This is, let's see, The Mist. I definitely want to read, and I may do that even before I finish Night Shift, because I want to read the story and watch the movie and do a comparison of the two. I can't, the other ones aren't really jumping out at me. But yeah, that'll be, love Stephen King, meaning to go back to a few, just looking for the hours. Yeah, no kidding. I want to just sit and read all of them too. It's a good thing wintertime is coming, so I won't be outdoors. I just read Salem's Lot a little while ago. I'm almost finished listening to Revival. This time I have it as an audiobook, but I've read it old school. I've read The Dark Half and The Dead Zone a few months ago, and I picked up Four Past Midnight a couple of book hauls ago because I want to read The Langoliers and then watch the movie and do a comparison. Really? Salem's Lot scared you? Oh, see, I read it and I loved it, but I didn't really, and I grew up in the country, so I was living on the farm when I read it, but I found it interesting, but it didn't scare me. I don't know. I must be weird because there are some things that, yeah, I know other people have. No, Amityville Horror freaked me out. I do have to say that, even though I know now it was, a bunch of hookums. I have seen the movie before. Now, the one I just watched, it's got Dean Stockwell in it. And now, am I going to get it wrong? Because I know I watched one a while ago, and Dean was in the original. Now I got to try and remember what I watched him in, because no. What was I watching? I'd watched The Invasion of the Body Snatcher. We've been watching some old movies and things. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now that was awesome. That had Leonard Nimoy in it, so that's an oldie. I did watch a version of The Langoliers, and I'm trying to think if there was a remake of that or not. Yeah, I enjoy watching him. I mean, I remember him from Quantum Leap, but I remembered him from The Langoliers as well. And we just watched that again. I think it was a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months now. Oh, yeah, maybe 2 months, because October we were rewatching all the scary, doing like Dracula. Hey, Kat, how are you? Welcome. Yeah, I didn't do. I had Cousin It for a bit. I started early today, but it got too hot. So you're just stuck with me. Yeah, he was great in Quantum Leap. Oh, was he in the 2004 Battlestar? Oh, I can't remember. And see, Dan, you like the new Battlestar. I like the old Battlestar with Richard Hatch and Lauren Green. The captain in the new one, in the newer Battlestar, I remember from Miami Vice. So that might have been partly why I had trouble seeing him as a captain after seeing him as a police officer or captain. And it was just such a different take on it, as in, the Cylons taking over and everything's all old school with telephones and things rather than the other gadgets. Okay, watched it. Yeah, you're right, Kat. It's one of the few where the dog is okay. Stephen King definitely cannot be trusted. 2004 Battlestar, one of my favorites. Me wrong, I like the old one. Okay, there you go. You've redeemed yourself. But the new one was amazing. See, I don't know. I liked Battlestar, and maybe it's because I watched the old one. I don't know. There was just something about the newer one that it was so different. And maybe if I had seen it in the other order, I'm not sure. The dog lives in any. I'm good. Me too. Cat, I, and you are all the same. Well, I'll say me anyway. It doesn't matter how many humans go. I'm sorry to say that, but the dog's got to make it to the end of the movie, or the cat. The dog or the cat have got to make it. If it's not looking good at the start of the movie or the show, I'm not watching it, which is why I have only seen, and Kat, I think you have, oh, wait a minute. No, it isn't True Blood. Walking Dead. I've seen 20 minutes of that series. Is all I will ever watch, because as soon as they started walking to the horse, I was out of there. I'm like, I do not need to be seeing any more of this. Humans, whatever, dogs. And Dan's the same. See, Dan would love it. Dan, I don't know if you've ever been to Ginger's channel, but as you're a dog lover, and I know you've shared some of your happy TikTok dog moments as you go, you have to check out Ginger's Little Man and Franny. They are hysterical. She has shorts. Grimm's fairy tales are so much better when she has little poochies. And that reminds me, Ginger, Kat, I need to respond to a couple of your replies. I wish YouTube had a way of, I know they show us comments on our own videos, but when we reply to other people's videos, you have to go all the way down through the notifications to find them again. And then sometimes, I don't know, YouTube's been weird lately with timing and everything else. Yes, before I was babbling about my keyboard warrior journal, because I'm not making videos about current events. And oh, that's nice, Dan. That's awesome. Oh, okay. Take care, Kat. Thank you, Team Rewatch. But yeah, I was talking about my keyboard warrior journal, because with current events and all of that, I need a spot where I can vent, say whatever I want, however I want it, but I'm not putting it up on social media or anywhere. I'm going to write it, get it out, and then shred it up and get rid of it. So that's one of my things to do. Oh, and Dan, I just saw your video last night about the paranormal, and I 100% and then some agree about what's happened in terms of, because of not just YouTube, but a number of other things as well. But it isn't the same anymore. It doesn't have the same level of credibility. It just, yeah, been venting work, unfortunately. See, I don't have work colleagues, so I have to write in my journal now. It'd be very different if I was still working, no doubt. Oh, and here's a book. I had mentioned this earlier before you popped in. Where the Ghosts Are, The Ultimate Guide to Haunted Houses. This is by Hans Holzer. He was a parapsychologist. He sadly passed away in 2009. But this is 50 different locations that he's gone to, and he did investigations with psychics as well. So I'm curious to see what he has to say about some of the different locations. Yeah, a few people would recognize Holzer, and this was another one of my thrift store finds, so I was pretty excited. And I think I have another one of his about psychic dreams, because at my last shop, and I keep saying it's my last shop of 2024, we'll see if I behave myself or not. But I'm pretty sure I picked up another one of his. I think it had to do about psychic dreams or something like that. So I definitely have, well, let's see if I move, if I move this here and this way, this whole pile is from my last bookshop, except for Angels and Demons. So I have a lot of reading ahead of me. I've got Dan Brown. I think I've got three Dan Browns, some Wilbur Smiths, two Kathy Reichs. Those will wait until March next year for March Mystery Mayhem. It's the Dan now, I've read Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code. I have yet to read, who do I have? The Lost Symbol, Inferno, and Deception Point. Deception Point. Okay. Now, have you read Deception Point? It starts on the first page with 4 dogs, and now I'm leery about going any further. At least with Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, I know there's no animals. It's just Dingle Robert Langdon. I mean, he's smart with symbols, but hi, Teekers. I don't know. He irritates me as a character. He's like uber smart with symbols, but that's about it. Yep, saw the film with Tom Hanks. Actually, we do still have that one. So that's another one of those read the book, watch the movie. But then I've got this huge spiral that I've been on. And I read the Da Vinci Code again last year because I've had a book called The Secrets of the Code sitting on my shelf for probably 10 years waiting for me to get around to it. But I figured I'd better read the code again because I'd forgotten. Here's Teekers. Say hi, Dan. We loved your film from Wales. Yeah, he had a long walk. We enjoyed watching that, though. It's such beautiful country. And yeah, I was hoping you were, yes, Kat, one of 3. But she's awake and on the move. This is the little thief who, whether I have pens or markers, will pick her own and then book it somewhere with it. So I have to go find my stuff again. Aww. I mean, definitely. Now, is that in Discord? Because I'm not in there. If it's on your community post, I can see it, but that's hilarious. Yes, this little monkey gets into everything too. She'll take off with my pencil or my pen. Community post. Awesome. I will definitely have to check that out. Hey, Teekers. Yes, Panther is in his camper. He's sleeping. Zena's on the bed. Zena's our grandma. Zena's 16 years old. So she sleeps a fair bit. Teekers is, you're not even 2 years old yet. Yeah, you won't be 2 until later next year. Because she adopted us when she was 7 months old. Yepers, and that was a year ago in June. Yeah, it's been that long. I know. It's like you've been here forever. And Panther loves his little sister because they play. She's a little girly. She's a little girly, aren't you? Yes, Teekers. Yeah, she's the one who will poke your nose, and this is her second time showing up for a live. Normally she's snoozing up on her cat tree, but she's deciding, hey, there's people out there who want to see a cat. Yeah, she's so amazing. But yes, I did enjoy your video and your comments, and it is interesting how some of them, it has changed. And I was really thinking as you were talking about it, because I remember now The Entity. There was a movie that scared the hooey out of me, and I'd read the books. You on your way, kid? Oh, no, you're going to settle. I read the book before I saw the movie. I'd seen The Exorcist, and that was creepy as well. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've ever actually gotten around to reading The Exorcist, but I do know I saw the movie. The Entity was very scary. And that like totally freaked me out. Like that book really freaked me out. And there was the Amityville Horror. I mean, I remember that and reading the book. I remember going to the theater, and I grew up in a small town. A group of my friends and I went to see it. I think I was one of the few who read the book, so I knew different things were going to be coming up. And I remember just being covered in popcorn because a friend of mine was sitting behind us, and there's the jump scare with the cat, and the popcorn went everywhere. It's like, seriously? But there have been so many different things that come up about the Amityville Horror. And I mean, it was like The Entity, it was scary at the time. And it isn't like now where you can like quick look everything up. But I think just the way that, I don't know if it's people are more desensitized now because there's so much of it in your face. It's not, it's hard to find anything scary or at that same level, I find. The stuff with the Conjuring House, that's just become such a drama-rama boondoggle that it's become more about the people than the actual location. Yeah, I agree. Desensitization for sure. And I mean, just, I don't think it's come up yet because I've actually gotten ahead with my videos. Uber excited. All next week is up and ready to go. Woohoo! But then I tend to forget which one have I put up already. But I'm commenting. Oh, yeah, I think it's the one, A Life with Ghosts by Steve Gonsalves. He's from Ghost Hunters, and I've never seen it. Jason Hawes was on the team with him. Now, that name I knew from Taps even before all the Conjuring, let's get views from the drama going on. But in the book, I'm talking about it, and it was an excellent read. The guy's not full of ego or like My Haunted Hotel, the Tantruming Trio by any means. But it was interesting because I know a while back, see you, kid, when I was looking into things, there were 69,000 channels that use the hashtag paranormal. Now, that's just the channels that use that hashtag. When I was looking up and making a comment about something else the other day, there's now 132,000 paranormal channels. I'm like, holy crikey, 132,000. I can't even imagine. And I mean, granted, that's from all over the world and all the rest of it. But I mean, no wonder some of these people are pulling different stunts and whatever, because that's a lot of competition to try and get views. And yes, I did almost put in your comments, the paranormies are a disgrace. Oh my gosh, it drives me crazy. And I cannot understand these people who are still sending them money. I mean, honestly, come on. I know the world's gone on its head, but still, and these guys, like you said, they don't even bother to tell their viewers that, oh, we're going to make a TV show, we're fine. And I'm like, oy vey, people. And then, always making excuses for them. I'm like, why? Like, and I totally cracked up at the end when you mentioned Lee. I'm like, no, I have yet to make my Vlad Zepesha video. I don't even know, is that guy even still around? I've heard, I can't remember if it was you or someone else said he might actually be giving it up for a change. Take care, Dan. It was lovely chatting. And I appreciate Team Rewatch. It's awesome. But yeah, I see you soon. We'll have to do a chat again sometime. Maybe December, January. We'll see how your schedule goes, because I know you're always crazy busy. I appreciate you popping by. Make sure you eat something. So yeah, just chatting different books. And yes, I am excited that I do have my videos are all done for next week. So those are ready to go. I have, I think, 2 videos up for the following week. So I just need 1 video to record. And I think I do have my kitty video up too. So I think I just need to get 1 video recorded. And then I'm 2 weeks ahead in terms of having stuff prepared for my channel. So yay, that means I can take a maybe 4 or 5 day break completely away from anything to do with the internet and just lose myself in some of the different books. I may actually end up just traveling through with some of the eye candy and get caught up on some of the supernatural. There's a lot of interesting information in here. I just haven't quite read it front to back yet. So I want to get through that. But this is also potentially for my December ghost reads. So I will have to decide, although I have a huge selection of ghost books to choose from. This is the Supernatural Collector's Edition. So I definitely need to get going through this. And I don't know if Supernatural is coming back or not. I do know that Padalecki's, Walker Texas Ranger series didn't go very far, which, I mean, again, that's the big change from Sam to Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris's Walker. Don't be messing with that. And then Jensen was on The Boys. I think Jared is supposed to be on The Boys this season, but I stopped watching The Boys in season 2. It's just not my thing, is all I can say about that. I know some people enjoy it. For me, it just, I don't know. There was something about it I just did not enjoy all that much. Okay, what else? Oh, another book. And yes, poor Noah will have a panic. But this is another one that I am probably going to end up cutting up. I was pretty happy about this find. This was years ago. This is The Crafter's Design Library Fantasy. This is by Chris Down. Super excited because originally it was $30 and I actually picked it up on the discount table for $5, which is comparable to what I pay at the craft store, at the thrift store. But this has a lot of great pictures and designs. So I can either trace them or cut them out, and then I can color them or change them. So I'm wondering, and I think I did move it. I've got a light. It's a Crayola one. I know you can get the fancier machines. Mine's just a little kid Crayola one. And the light shines up through the page so you can trace it, which is what I may do with some of these. And yeah, actually, to trace them, I'll have to see whether I have to actually cut some of the pages out. So we have dragons. We have Green Man, which I would love to maybe design that with, thinking terracotta, but a clay, and then do that design with the leaves, and I can put it outside. So there's a lot of really cool wizards and witches, fairies, a lot of great designs in here. I just have to figure out how to do some. Gives you ideas what to do with them. So either put it on a candle, do greeting cards, or stencil boxes. And I actually have a number of paper mache plain boxes that I bought years ago to put things in. So I could always pick the different designs, use some beads. See, this shows you even how to trace the different motifs. So it's really a great resource with a lot of wonderful ideas. I'm just going to have to figure out, maybe what I'll end up doing is taking some of them out and then putting them in page protectors or envelopes. Because some of the pages, I know I'll just want one side. So let's just see this one. Oh, no, that goes on to, because you've got the gorgeous castle there, but then you've got the write-up on there. Yeah, see this one, because I'm not really into the ships, but on this side, you've got, a Stonehenge type and the pyramids. You've got bats, trees and bats. So then I can have some neat designs for next Halloween. So yeah, definitely. And see this one with the dragon coming up. I like the way the water and the mountains and bats are, but I'm not crazy about that head. So I could always try tracing that out and see if I can find a dragon or something somewhere else, or even put an entirely, different creature in there. And so trace it all out except for that creature and find something else that would work there. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm kind of eager to get into doing some crafts and fun things for a little while. I mean, here's a cute little squirrel. And I can, because I've got, do I still have those paints for the window to do faux stained glass? So I could always trace that out and then have something for the window, or just do it as a little picture and use it on a journal and things as well. I don't know. I'll have to decide. My little creative self is just really wanting to get into doing some of that. Then my reading self is wanting to get into a whole bunch of books and reading. So I'll just have to pick and choose and see where I go with things. Have to finish my read for Spooky. I think what I may end up doing, because of course I've got all my books in a small basket now for my ghost reads in December. I think I may have to set up a basket for my not finished yet books and have them all in one spot, or set them up on a shelf and just start working my way through, because some of them I know I just need to get them finished. There are different reading projects that I want to do. I want to get back to Da Vinci and getting that whole timeline figured out. I need to read the Da Vinci Code again. There are a couple other books. Why am I thinking I just picked something up? I have a couple, that's it. I have a couple about breaking the code. I have the secrets of the code. And I need to start with those. Then there's the Holy Blood, Holy Grail. Okay, let's see if I can figure this out. So I start with the Da Vinci Code. Now I have my illustrated copy. That will stay immaculate. But I have my other copy that I can make all kinds of notes in. I have Secrets of the Code that I need to reread. I have Breaking the Code. There's another one about the code. Holy Blood, Holy Grail relates to that one. Of the 3 books by Lawrence Gardner that all relate to that, Realm of the Ring Lords, Bloodline of the Grail, and I can't think of his third one, but I know those all tie in. Then what else do I have with the Grail? There's a bunch from ancient Egypt. Oh, Hancock, Sign and the Seal, because that talks about the Ark of the Covenant. And I mean, so many things come up in the Da Vinci Code. So Sign and the Seal for sure will be a tie-in with that. And I've read it. So I need to browse through that again. There's a bunch of other ancient Egypt books that I know are going to tie in going back to Bible times. I have a book on Bible times. I have the Bible. Trying to think, because I know when I went through, and there's where I need to start. I have at least 50 books out of my own library that I read that all have connections back to that Dan Brown book, Angels and Demons, because again, we've got the Vatican tied in with there. Yeah, so what I need to do, and I have printed off, because what I've made myself do now is after I go for a book haul, I add all my books into my master list. So it's basically title, year of publication, and author. I have a more extensive list that I keep up in Excel, so I need to get those coordinated. But if I set up my specific Da Vinci Code list, which I could easily do in Word or Excel, then I can keep track of which titles I need to reread, which ones I've pooled all the information together from. So I'm definitely not short on things to do. What I really need to do is get myself organized, pick one task, and just go with it. So if I'm going to get back into the Da Vinci Code spiral, I need to set a start date and just plan to do that for the year. Whether I'll have videos with that or not, it's hard to say because that's more of a me thing. But I can always, as I'm finishing the books, upload a video and talk about it, even if it isn't necessarily how it connects back to Da Vinci. What else I've got a number of self-care, self-help books that I need. Yeah, I mean, it's only early November, so I'm good for that. There's the Zukov book that I need to reread. I need to finish a Celestine Prophecy book, reread the 10th Insight, because that's pretty much going to be content for December. December is going to be a very light, easy read, take care of self month for a number of reasons. And I'd already decided that before the world went upside down on, well, I guess the morning of November 6th when the results came in. So I think now more than ever, we really need to keep things light during December. Trying to think, do I have... No, I think my politically... Just need to check here. No, my other politically correct book is in the other room. But I think what I will be reading from as well in December is Stuart McLean. This is the Vinyl Cafe notebooks. If you're Canadian, you'll know the Vinyl Cafe is lovely, and it's just light humor. Trying to see if describe informed, intimate relationship, Canada and Canadians visiting. So that doesn't describe. This is Stories from the Vinyl Cafe, also by Stuart McLean. I mean, his voice is just, he's so great when he reads these. This is from the Toronto Sun. McLean has long stood head and shoulders above most journalists in this country when it comes to the undervalued art of storytelling. His jump into fiction is done with such grace, it makes me wonder if he's been making it up all along. I only know Stuart McLean from the stories that he's shared, and this is another beveled book. I love that. So these are, and here you go. I haven't looked in this book before, and there's a piece of paper in there, so I'll have to check out what that is. But I know, we've got Morley and Dave, and he always has such cute stories about them, and it's just lighthearted, good-natured fun. So I'll definitely be reading some of those in December and uploading them and sharing them as videos on the channel, just so people, along with the silly cat videos, can have a giggle and a relaxed time. December is very much going to be low-key, catch up on some more book tags. I have the BookTube Makes Me Happy tag uploaded. I have the I'll get to it later tag uploaded, so those will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. I still have to record the honesty tag and the night. Why can't I think of it? Oh, if Kat was still here, she could tell me, because Kat's the one who tagged me in that one. Nightclub tag. So I have 2 more tags to catch up on. And then I think I'm caught up on what I've been tagged in. Hopefully. If I haven't, someone will remind me or figure I just didn't get to it, which would make me sad because I need to keep a better system for that. So let's see. I'm almost caught up on the tags. This Friday? I know one of these Fridays. I have a tour of my yard. That's from October 23rd and 24th. The yard looked very different than it does now. I need to work on my yard tour November 4th to 6th because there were different things I captured. So that will be coming up shortly, and then you'll really see the difference because in October the trees still had leaves. Many of them now, they're bare, but I still have some plants growing, which is insane. And I just cut the grass yesterday, November the 6th, first time ever in my 60 years have I cut grass in November in Southwest Ontario. I mean, that's just insane that I would even have thought of doing it. By now, we'd normally have snow, not grass growing that I could cut. But yeah, that's just the changing climate. Trying to think. So I've got that. So I'll have kitty videos. Shouldn't have a book haul for a while. Now there is one. Oh, see, there is one I missed. There was a great tag, and I was tagged by Kevin Tolles. And I'm really itching to do that one, can't lie. And not just because it's book shopping. I need to have a sip. In this particular tag, and I'm really wanting to do it, you go to your thrift store, you give the employee $20, and you tell them to go find you books that $20 will cover. Now, when Kevin did it, he was at a store where the employees didn't really know him well, so it was a little bit awkward at first as he was explaining it. Excuse me, but he ended up with, some good reads, and he shared those. So he tagged me along with others to do the same. And of course, it was just after I'd had my massive 30% off haul at the thrift store. Now, the lovely thing is I typically go to the same store, and I've been going there now for several months. So I'm thinking, and because I talk to the employees when I'm there as well about different books that they have and the genres, and they share with some of the things they're reading. It's lovely. I really enjoy in-person shopping for that reason, because not only do I get great recommends from them, in fact, that's why, see if I can get this without dumping them all. Nope, of course not. That's why I picked up The Sorcerer, the Fort at River's Bend. This is by Jack White. One of the employees said this is a great book to read and see if I enjoy his writing style. It has to do with King Arthur and Merlin, which I love. Anything to do with that saga and time period, whether it's a book. I've enjoyed most of the movies. There were a few that were neat. I enjoyed the series Merlin. That was a few years ago. Wish I could think of who played Merlin. I know he's Welsh, but I can't remember his name. And a number of the other actors were British. and some were Irish. So it was kind of cool. And they filmed in France. I think some of it may have been filmed in Britain. I can't remember. But I know a lot of it was filmed in France. So I really enjoyed, because we used to have the series, I really enjoyed that back information about the travels and all of that. But yeah, I figure if I go into my thrift store and give one of the employees $20 and say, find me something, I'll end up with some amazing reads because they know, don't pull me something from the romance shelves, and they have 4 honking sections of that. But they also know I wander a lot through the fiction, through the science fiction. They have 3 massive sections of science fiction books. But they know me and they know what I enjoy reading. So it would be a great way to get some new authors and new reads. And I know I'll love them. So I'm really itching to do that. But I did just say in my video, my last book haul of 2024. So we'll have to see whether I hold off. But I would really enjoy doing that video. And I'm so curious to see what they would find me. I'm just trying to pick up all my reads here since I spilled them pulling out Jack White. That's the other, and I noticed in one of Kevin's videos, he was just talking about the Once and Future King. And I just found that in one of my latest book hauls. So I want to read that again. If I could like clone myself or something, or find a way to read 2 or 3 books at once, it would be awesome because I have so many books that I want to read right now. And it's just, I'm also trying to get organized. I'm trying to get all the information pulled together, that different projects I want to do. Hoax and Holy Grails gone by the wayside. That makes me sad because that was another way to get through some of the different books. To be honest, part of it has been sitting down and making the time to get through the information, because to pull one of those episodes together takes me at least a month. And that's just the reading and the research on each topic that I want to cover, because I don't want to just quick go through something and throw it up to say that I have it done. I want to be sure that I've checked my sources. I want to read the different information. Then I pull it together as I've been doing it as PowerPoint, and I might stick with that because that's kind of the easiest way to present that type of information. And then I can either record it in PowerPoint or record it in StreamYard so that I'm not in the frame of the information I'm talking about. But yeah, one of those episodes takes at least a month to pull together for my standards. I mean, other people can do that type of thing so much quicker. I'm not so much. But part of why I've been stalled on that, it isn't a lack of interest or a lack of topics. I've got over 50 topics sitting in my planning books that I need to get to. Part of it is my last video. I think I had Blavatsky as far as I got. My last video, I had a lovely comment. It was phenomenal. And a few weeks later, I found out that individual had passed away, which makes me very sad. And every time I think of doing Hoax or Holy Grail, I think of her. I'm glad she's at peace. But then I also think I'm not going to see a comment from her again. And it's just, Yeah, it's hard because it isn't that I'm not interested in the topic. It isn't that I don't want to do the series again. It still makes me a bit sad, because there are a couple of subs that I have lost, and not lost in terms of they've unsubbed. I mean, that's the reality of YouTube, and that's just the way things go. I've unsubbed from channels too, because it isn't that there's bad content or whatever. It's just there's only so many hours in a day. And, part of it is when you sub, and if you're not watching, then you're sometimes not really helping the content creators' analytics, because YouTube is looking for interaction. So it's really tough because you want to stay and help people stay at a certain number, but you also want to be sure that you're helping them out and showing support, watching videos. I mean, when I go into someone's channel, the first thing I always do is hit the like button, because if it's someone I'm sub to, I already know I'm going to enjoy the content. And I know hitting that like button makes a difference for that channel. I leave comments because, again, I know those two interactions really help out someone's channel and gets them promoted through YouTube so that other people get to see and enjoy their content as well. It's interesting, and I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I don't say like or subscribe anymore in my videos. I haven't done it in 2 weeks. I don't have it in any of my new videos, partly because I figure if you've been on YouTube for more than a week, then you already know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. And I really wish I had $1 for every time I've heard that on a video I've watched over the last 4 years. Because, man, could I help out a lot of people, not just go for one big ass book haul, but I could share and help out a lot of people in these challenging times right now. But yeah, I stopped doing that just to see what would happen. And the lovely thing is, and thank you so much, I've actually had an increase in my subscribers. Now, part of that was through Pat from Book Chat with Pat and Fred, Read by Fred, giving me a shout out in each of their community posts, bless them, which bumped me now over 300. And we'll see if that holds, hopefully. But the funny thing is, even before that, I was getting new subs. I'm still getting subs, but I never mention it in my videos anymore. I always mention, of course, comment, because I'm hoping videos start a conversation or people share with me about the books they've read. So particularly in my book hauls, if people are watching, if they've read any of the authors I mention, read the titles that I mention, that I always enjoy hearing. Did you like it? Was there something you didn't? Because I'm not someone who typically goes to Goodreads to see, even though I say go to Goodreads. Again, only so much time in a day. So Goodreads, I basically pop in and out to keep track of my reading, because it gives publication dates, how much I've read, and that. But I don't spend a lot of time there because I find there are amazing groups. I just really dislike the way their threads run. And instead of having, say, a comment and your reply doesn't end up under their comment, what you're replying to. It ends up way down the page. And if it's a busy club community, then you're spending ages scrolling down to see if someone's even answered you. And I don't have the time, and I don't have the patience for that. As much as I dislike Facebook and the Dramarama, at least their threads are easy to follow. I'll give Zuckerberg that much. Trying to follow conversations in Facebook was so much easier. Discord just didn't play nice with me. I mean, again, there's a lot of amazing groups there. There's book groups. There's so many other wonderful channels who use Discord for conversation, sharing information, shouting out other channels. It just doesn't work nice for me. So I'm not on Discord. I did notice today when I was in my YouTube studio uploading my videos that now that little thing on the side that used to say comments says communities. So I don't know if that means that maybe soon that'll be changing and that we'll all have an opportunity to give that a try. I know the last I heard on, it was TubeBuddy that I checked into, and they were saying that right now communities is still being tested, and there's a few people who have it, but it's only on mobile. So you can check out the channels and see what that looks like and works like. And it's supposed to be, I think, similar to Discord, where you have people who can comment as well now in your community area. So it won't just be the content creator that can put things up. It'll be, I'm thinking, people that you select. I don't think just anybody can hop in and share videos or share pictures and things like that, but it's more interaction. And I think partly because YouTube's figured out if they want interactions, then instead of having everybody hop off to go to Discord and other places, then they need to make it available within the YouTube community. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes and sharing it as well. But I think I've probably babbled enough for one day. And yeah, Cousin It wasn't here long. It was like way too hot. So yes, there we go. I think I covered everything. I talked about my spooky wrap up, talked about my book haul and mentioned some of the books, talked about the journal so far, and there'll be things coming up with that. If you're able to join me today, thank you so much. As always, I appreciate the gift of your time. Your team rewatch, always appreciate that as well, because I know schedules and things are very different and not everybody can hop in when I'm live. And today, yes, I hopped on live a bit earlier. Next week, I'm going to have to wait and see. I know I have a live planned for November the 14th, I believe next Thursday is. We'll wait and see how the week goes because I don't have a guest right now. On the 21st, I will be joined by Jenny Parks. So excited. Get to hear her amazing Scottish accent. Looking forward to it. And if you haven't been to Jenny's channel, make sure you check her out because, oh, that T-Rex clip, classic. I need to go watch that because it was definitely worth a giggle and so sweet. She had so much fun doing it. It's so much fun to watch. On the 28th, I will be joined by Janie from The Crafting Bookworm, my inspiration for starting to do my own journals. So I'm looking forward to chatting with her. And then on the 5th, I will be joined by Pat, Book Chat with Pat. So excited about that conversation as well. And on December, is it the 12th, I think, the following week, I will be joined by Cindy from Wondering About Nature. Love checking in with her channel as well. She has very short nature clips from her area. She also worked in schools and taught students about nature and the environment. So that's going to be a great conversation. So that's pretty much what's coming up with the lives. I hope people are doing well today. I know it's been a challenging and difficult few days for many people. Know that you're in my thoughts. I'm sending you lots of love, hugs, positive vibrations. Until next time, be sure to take good care of yourself. Remember, keep that light shining bright. The more of us that get together and shine bright, the sooner we can turn some things around, I hope. Take good care.